Great. We're live. And so, welcome. Does anybody remember when Friday the 13th was like kind of a creepy thing? So, I'm welcoming you and the blessing of 13 is a vibration that we know much better, a lot more about now. For one, there are 13 lunations in the year, 13 clan mothers. We could go on. 13 is just a really powerful number. So much as we did want to come in on 12/12, here we are on Friday the 13th, and it feels great. Oshun's Day, blessings and harmony and that kind of stuff. Particularly, we were super motivated as we just got off of our Zoom call preparation for this Sunday's Spiritual Revolutionary Summit, which is so exciting. Didn't you always want to be part of a revolution? In fact, I've lived most of my life feeling like we are the revolution. It's kind of like when, the woman said, no, you shouldn't fear the storm. I am the storm. And so we recognize that our ancestors called us on it as we were praying and meditating. They say, you just come on talking. You never even introduce yourself. And for those who don't know, well, give thanks. We are Sangoma, and we welcome you to the Kindred of Sangoma YouTube channel. And we do encourage you to like and subscribe as we now pivot ourselves in this winter. We're going to take ourselves from that vast, 3 states a week kind of travel, pack it in, pack it out, pack it in, pack it out. We're gonna move ourselves to a different vibration in this coming 9 year of 2025, where we're a little more present here and a little more present in the lives. So we do hope that you will subscribe and like the YouTube channel, and that will grow it for as many psychics and mediums and teachers and wisdom keepers that we listen to on YouTube. And we listen to quite a few. Trust, I'm sure you've seen me post and repost them. We find that a lot of the readers of tarot and oracles are just on that, circus merry-go-round of the political dramas, what's going to happen, and have we all run the hamster wheel? I'm not into hamster wheels. I gave them up, and the hamster cage door was open a long time ago. We don't like that trapped or confined feeling. So we felt like as our Faces of the Truth Teller deck comes forward, this Christmas and holiday Kwanzaa time, that we should be in the generosity of the 12th clan mother gives praise. So for one thing, that spiritual revolution, you'll see it go by on various sites of the Facebook. There are about 8 grandmothers, and I'm telling you what, there's some good medicine coming. If you were just relaxing and chillaxing on this Sunday between 3 and 6, you could register there. From what I just understood Grandmother Black Crow to say, even if you were short the $22 to come, then there is a way for you to go into the registration and link in, because as usual, none of us ever turn anyone away for dead presidents in green paper. It just doesn't happen. It's too easy for you to pray for us or light a candle for us or give any amount of value from the heart that has little to do with the green paper, with the dead president. So we appreciate that. It pays our bills like anybody else. It helps us along like anybody else. But the fact of it is that we will not deny the gifts and service we are called to do simply because those folks do not have it. So we want to review a couple of things. Except for number one, we have 4 more weeks. Yep, 4 more weeks of Courage Under Fire, which is our winter quarter in the Mystic School of Alchemy. And we will, on this Sunday, talk a little bit about mystery schools and why they're important, and what we just didn't learn in Sunday school or public school or college. We just didn't learn it, because mystery schools is the underbelly of the school of life, of things that either you did have elders or olders or wisdom keepers in your family that passed these traditions and medicines along, or you didn't. And so we find now with, of course, video games and all of the technology and the AI and a lot and a lot and a lot, mm, not that much, you know. Or if you get out among nature, people are earth modges, people kind of close to the earth and nature, you would find discussions of old ancient traditions. Um, Oyotunji is built on old, ancient traditions of culture and tribes. And so this is why Kindred of the Sangoma, if it's new for you, we move all the time in adventures and explorations in nature, culture, and spirit, because we do know that everyone has been exposed and always is available to nature, whether they played outside as a child or they actually work outside now, or they're kind of paying attention to the storms and the hurricanes and the wildfires and things going on in our climate change. That could be nature. And or spirit. Well, did you grow up in a house of quote unquote religion, or a house of spirituality, or what did you learn about spirit or God or goddess or Buddha or the Dalai Lama? What do you carry with you that guides you, that you learn from that realm? Culture, quite another thing. Quite another thing. I have had so many good conversations about what folks think culture really is and how we live it. And, few know that cultures have languages, food, clothing. They have many, 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 many expressions of a culture, because now you have a cancel culture, or you could have the punk rockers culture, or the gothic people's culture, because we are tribal by nature. And if we don't remember our tribes, or we didn't grow up in our tribes, we will create new ones. And that's what we see, of course, these coming generations and young people doing. It used to be like Chinatown in New York, or the Greek Community Center, or we grew up in a Jewish community in New York. So, there's a culture that speaks to certain holidays and certain foods and customs, and the way people get married, the way people are buried. All of these things involve culture. And when you don't have it, as Chief Ajamu would say, you kind of make it up as you go. And so, and so we don't want to make it up as we go. We want to look back, the Sankofa, that bird that looks back to see what we have lost, to see what are those traditions and customs that were born in people who had way less than us, materialistically, I will say. I think they had quite a lot more than us in terms of the ME, we call it. Sometimes I get caught in the languages of what it is. Or if I were in the 13 original clan mothers, then my beloved ancestral mother, Jamie Sams, would call it the Orenda. Our spiritual essence inside. What lives inside? We had a couple of truth tellers drop. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Got them. And this is what matters now. We were just saying on that call with the grandmothers that um, part of the light that we hope we collectively shine from our lighthouses on Sunday is that light which gives each and every participant permission to live from the inside out. So many have been trapped and influenced, and what they say, misinformed. So much misinformation out there, or just straight out lies and deception, that causes people to behave differently because they're living, or trying to live, from the outside in. What's happening out there is affecting who I am in here. See, and so we want to kind of reverse those tables right here at the end of this 8 vibration, moving to a 9 of completion, headed toward a 1 in 2026, really trying to get a clean canvas going on. Then it's best for us to recognize what we need to release, what is no longer serving us, recognize how are we showing up for ourselves, let alone how are we trying to show up for others, and are we still looking outside of ourselves for the leader who's in charge. So all of these things like that. We haven't said enough about the truth tellers, but we're going to do it now as we go into a little bit of divination. First of all, in school this past week, we our topic was accessing otherworldly support, and a number of questions came down under that guidance for that week. And so one of the questions was, if you were just sitting with yourself having a conversation about winter and what really is important, what really matters at the end of 2024, one of those questions was, what's the most productive use of your time moving forward? Like, what should eat up a lot of time? What are you willing to stretch time to include? What is that? And I love that the truth teller that came and answered for me, yep, I can see it with the light. Yep, she's a heart, a Westgate girl, ghost in a shell. And if you haven't seen that movie, Scarlett Johansson, strongly suggested, because the other crown that I was speaking with, her Grace Chris, I said, I don't even need to pull a clarifying card, because this particular truth teller right here just hit that right on the head. You know, when, and I don't want, spoiler alert, I don't want to spoil the movie for you because it was a really good movie. What happens when literally the inside, the soul inside, is not in the life or living the life or perceived by others looking in, uh, those two things are not in alignment. In other words, the soul in here is one vibration, and the outer appearance or the outer body avatar is another. And it wasn't hard for me to see that in terms of how I am readjusting or making certain course corrections to the public private Go Sangoma. And while we want to just embrace and hold really close all of our authenticity and our gifts and our service and our availability and approachability to everyone all the time, we also have to adjust it so that it does not become our health challenge. It does not become that which takes away from exactly what we are trying to give out. And I've been called on that a couple of times by the ancestors, where, you know, the level of exhaustion that comes. We don't have the elves from the North Pole that come and unpack the car and repack the car and, you know, set up all of the ceremonial stuff and get it all in and like that. We don't have that. We just are one. And so when then we act as if we were 10 people, the ancestors will sit us down and say, honey, where you going? Where are you going with only 20% of your energy left? That's what you want to give out. That's what you're doing nowadays. You're pawning off like 20% of energy as if you had all 100 or 150% energy to give. Why don't you just sit down and rest? And so after we went through that a couple of times, we learned. We definitely learn. We don't like being that student knocking at the door of hard knocks. We don't. My grandmother told me all about that school, and I just don't have a need. I don't have a need to visit. The other card that balanced us was just beyond the horizon. I believe, if I remember exactly, these two cards fell out together. And this is a club, an Eastgate girl. Let's see, can we get her up there? We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. Up. There you go. Back up. Ah, gotcha. So this Eastgate truth teller is one who talks about not limiting our vision, not again, not boxing anything in. You know, remembering the color outside the lines, to look beyond the horizon. The horizon can be just an expectation, the destination, what you expect to happen, what you're setting up when you arrive, and look at the great beyond, or at least consider it. At least consider it. You know what I mean? It's like last night I was looking up in the night sky and we're talking about, I haven't heard the videos yet, but we're talking about today that there's drones everywhere in all the neighborhoods. Now, these were either really big drones or they were our friendly relations from other parts of the galaxy, which will always let me know that that's not a flat picture up there. That's not just dark with stars and the moon. See, it goes for miles and miles and miles because I could see the drone closest to me. And then I could see one at a further distance, and then I could see one at a further distance. It's amazing like that. I started studying like that. I'm going to get a telescope, but when you're up in the mountains, you can really see the layers into the sky, like almost like on an airplane, like you up there. So let's see. Oh, this one I wanted to bring up because it happens to be Wisdom Keeper, my clan mother of the second lunation of February, and she's been up on the profile picture there for a minute. And Wisdom Keeper, mother of the stone libraries, mother of friendship. She just so well speaks to a lot of the colors, shades of our destiny, of how we walk present in Earth School. So, this for me, just kind of looking at, we're going to hold them up. General Moses, Reverend Mother, let's do her here. Reverend Mother, Spade, Northgate, where we are now. And yeah, General Moses as well, Spade, Northgate. And if you're not familiar, you might have played spades, but you don't know that the actual spade is a symbol, is like it was a tattoo on the ancient Magi priesthood, and the symbol, power, and authority. And those who study the cards as readers, the playing deck of cards as readers, that was the first tarot among the gypsies, made that particular suit into power, authority, whereas diamonds, more what we value. Hearts, obviously, things that fall into the affairs of the heart. And clubs, they say, Queen of Clubs, wisdom or intuitive beings. Those that Queen of Clubs is the mother of intuition. A club is always going to seek more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge and more answers. And so, can we take this minute just to lift up and remember the beautiful life of Nikki Giovanni? We told the story on Facebook of the clock, which literally jumped off the wall into the middle of the floor. Didn't break the first time. We picked it back up. We put it back on the nail. Walked back out to the porch and crash. It fell to the same spot in the middle of the floor. Now, understand there's a whole counter, toaster, things. It didn't slide down the wall. The nail didn't come out. The clock jumped off the wall. But then, of course, the next day, when we saw that that had been the day of ascension for Nick, we said, "Oh, there you have it." Okay, because that, even though we never met her in person, was some people put a footprint inside your life or inside the path that you're going to walk, like the size of an elephant. And that would be the truth for my own person with Nikki Giovanni. I was saying that as a child coming up, I listened to a lot of things. I watched a lot of things with the civil rights movement going on, riots in the street. This went back when I lived in New York. And Nikki Giovanni just seemed like to be that voice that when she spoke or did her poetry or spoken word or just gave out her wisdom, I was like, be quiet. Shh, shh, shh. Like you really wanted to listen. So I could see that in my house, that spirit blowing away one fine morning would say, I'm gone. I'm out of here. Mic drop. And that's a wonderful thing. Okay, we had 3 cards that we held up for you. The other one was Queen for a Day, also a spade. So I'm just going to say that in the winter here we are, 1212. I thought for my person, I said, let me, pull some cards right here in 1212, see what this portal is about. And I did not limit it. Whereas in school, we've been really working just in the Northgate truth tellers and some major arcanas to clarify. And we got all three spades. In Northgate say, yeah, you really here. You are really here. And be it the surgery of your husband or whatever has now landed you, give thanks, give thanks. She said, give thanks to not have to pack and repack and unpack the car and repack the car. Um, but to just actually really be in the winter cave of the bear. Say, be here, be here. Because Harriet Tubman wasn't always carrying people on the Underground Railroad. There were other parts of her quiet time, particularly as she grew older. And the Reverend Mother, for those of you that are big Dune fans, I am one. That this particular truth teller was inspired by the Reverend Mother of the head of the Bene Jesuit, the Weirden women who were very resilient, very insightful, really in physical female bodies. But I have to say, they were not at all hindered or limited by time, age, space, any of it. At least it didn't come across that way to us. And then Queen for a Day, we love her because that particular truth teller tells you, well, you could be queen for a day any day, couldn't you? And definitely on your birthday, or definitely on special days when you just think you are queen for a day, and you get all the right shoes and hairstyle and the nails done, and that's just where you are. But I think the deeper challenge of queen for a day is to recognize your queendom in each and every breath of each and every day. To whom much is given, much is required. So much more than a crown. It is why we have our crowns of Isis, rites and passages, which we think are going to move more now into mentorships and apprenticeships, because doing it as a group was great, and the 3, 4 crowns, 5 crowns that have come through in the last 3 years, I'm sure that they gained a lot by having someone with them to do it. But it's deep work now in this particular time, in this particular season, and you really can't or should not hang on to what another person is doing in order to create their crown, you see, because the crown up here, you cannot see it. Doesn't make it any less real. We wake up with it, we sleep in it, it goes into dream time because it holds us accountable. Give thanks. Give thanks. We've had many long discussions about what is that crown that we wear that we cannot see. I think for myself, I just definitely answered it, that it is what holds us to the standard of my ancestral mothers, for number one, and then down here in Earth School is my personal accountability. As above, ancestral mothers hold me to a standard. Below, you're accountable. You're accountable for your words, your actions, what you do, what you don't do, what you procrastinate on, all that. So anyway, we're shuffling right here, right quick, so that we can leave you with what is the truth. Usually we have a specific question. I've been kind of sitting with that all morning, like, what is the question I really want to ask for the kindred from the truth tellers? And there is an uneasiness coming. It's about to pop. All this with the election and what's really going on, and are we really going to live through this, or is something different going to happen, or are we going to stand up for ourselves? It's really what it comes down to, because many of us know it, and we know it, and others of us are still kind of lost in the fog, but new stuff is starting to come in, like we know stuff before it happens, or certain gifts are coming in, and we're not sure what to do with that because that's not been a real conversation. So I guess I'm pulling truth tellers to show us the deeper truths of this season right here. Courage under fire, this time between 12/12 and the winter solstice next week. What should we be paying attention to? What might we miss if we didn't slow down and pay attention? Show up, pay attention, tell the truth. Don't get attached to the results. All right, shall we do 3? I think so. That's what I'm hearing. All right. Wow. Setting sun woman, a diamond, summer girl at the South Gate. And setting sun woman really wants us to acknowledge that energy. She is a clan mother. That energy of sunsets, yes. The ending of things, yes. Kind of like now, if I was going to say, well, what are those things that we're sitting with relative? What is this called relative to the question we just asked? It really is the end of an 8-year going to a 9-year. And I always say to people who get readings from me, start working that thing in the 8-year, boo. Because when the 9 comes up to finish up and people come back from jobs that you left, things that had no closure, relationships that didn't end well, or friendships that fell apart, or marriages that fell apart, it's endless. And if you really start approaching it like right here in the going out, the closing out of an 8-year, you can get a jump on it. So that by the closing out of the 9-year, it's just a review. You say, yep, check, check, check that box, check that. Yeah, I'm really ready. I'm ready. I have enough energy inside of me to focus on what's ahead, what's coming in the 1 year. I am not caught up still with unresolved emotions or unresolved. Why do I keep thinking about so and so? Why do I keep repeating this lesson? Yeah. No, rinse and repeat is over by the end of the 9-year, when it is that you started. Putting the period at the end of the sentence, crossing the T's, doing all that at the end of the 8 years. So that's kind of the way that Setting Sun Woman is hitting us for today. All right. Wow. We just put her up and she's back. Wisdom Keeper. You know, the mother of friendship, intuition, trusting one's intuition, learning to listen to that quiet voice inside, or your first mind. You know how people say that? My first mind told me not to do so and so, but I did it anyway. No, this is really the time that your first mind is really trying to tell you something. And we have to, this is why we have mystery schools. Again, you see, here's the explanation, is that people hear a word like discernment, but really don't know how to apply it. This is one where when you hear different things that might give you pause, or like discernment, and what is the direction and where is my core. I used to tell my daughters, your gut, where babies, the egg and the sperm hits, where life happens. You can't. There's no Luther Vandross song down there to sweeten that up. That's just the real truth. And so, and I cannot say that's the truth for men. Maybe their, gut instincts come from another place. But in this body, in this soul, my gut instinct is that body of intuition. And there are all types of things, pendulums and OB shells, coconut shells, what we can confirm, or I Ching with pennies or runes. And so this speaks to a little bit of the tools that, until you become confident and believe in your own self, believe in your gut instincts, is best to have dowsing rods, pendulum, like this, tarot, oracles, whatever it takes for you to say, yeah, I kind of thought that, but Now I see that to be true. How do you know what you know what you know? All right, so the third card we're going to pull here, I love it. I love it. La Madre de Huesos, okay? And she is a major arcana, okay? So, Wisdom Keeper, La Madre de Huesos, both major arcanas. Let you know the big girl's up on the porch right here. La Madre de Huesos, we met down in Acamel, Mexico. We're thinking about going to Mexico for a good bit with weavers in January. But La Madre de Huesos is the mother of bones. And from the early start, years, 30 years or more ago, with one of our beloved teachers, Wapio, sometimes when we did the changing woman ceremony, she would come in as Granny Raking Bones. And Granny Raking Bones, La Madre de Huesos, you know what I'm saying? The bones don't lie. It's kind of like forensics. It, you got no wiggle room there. Granny Raking Bones will listen to your pity party, your vent, whatever that is that you're telling yourself, and she will sit right there and just peel back the lies that you are telling yourself because she can hear them. She can hear the words that are coming out and also feel the lack of authenticity or realness. Like, where did that come from? You know, you hear a person say something, and we're going to do it a lot now. That's why this card came up right here. Because people will tell you a lot of anything. They heard it on Fox TV or wherever, wherever. Okay, and that's what I find myself doing a lot of times, carrying this part of La Madre de Huesos, under my cloak. It's kind of like, really? You believe that? Say it again. Or I'll say it back to you so that maybe you can hear how that sounds. And then let's talk about, why do you think that's true? What is the knowing and the proving? Because some things we walk by faith and not by sight. I'm not taking a bit of that away, but other things that you kind of pass on as fact when it's really fantasy, you got to look at that. You got to get your mind right, as most Jeff would say. You got to really sit with that and go, wow, am I just repeating that because that's something I heard and it's something I choose to believe? It seems kind of like a convenient answer. I don't have to give it much thought. Or is it because I'm afraid to say a truth that might be a little bit harder to swallow, but it really is the truth? See, I'm that kind of girl. I'm going to give you straight with no chaser. Just am. I'm Victor's daughter, and he always, look, why don't you just call the kettle black? Stop playing. And I'm good with that. I'm good with that because I just wasn't. It's hard to say. It's a part of me that loves fairies. Not that I think they make believe. I have seen them in real time in real life. See, so maybe that's it. Maybe that's the nature of it. Is that there's not much in my imagination that does not live somewhere real in a spiritual dimension. So there's that. And I think with other folks, there's real, there's imagined, there's maybe, there's make believe, there's I want to think that, and whatever, I choose to think that. And of course, life is full of choices. So, setting sun woman, wisdom keeper, La Madre de Huesos, they are the ones who come between here and the winter solstice to say, give a lot of things some closer examination. As Public Enemy would say, don't believe the hype. Don't fall for what people are telling you right off the tip of their tongue. Do some background, do some investigation. It's kind of like, people didn't want to believe what they heard, they thought they believed about the election or this or that. And then, I don't know, 35 readers all living in different places in the country who wouldn't even watch one another because they didn't want to influence one another were pulling the same cards, saying the same thing. Come on. See, we don't believe in much coincidence or accidents. We're just not that gullible. I guess the last thing that we will say before we leave this rather long live is that Monday night at 6:30 we do a deep dive in with those who already have the Faces of the Truth Teller Oracle, and that's at 6:30. You can write to us at Kindred of Sangoma at gmail.com if you would like the Zoom uh, chat to Zoom link. And if you would love to support the Kindred, which we would always love if you are that able to do that, give the gift that keeps on giving, you can just go to the website, kindredofsangoma.org, and you can register. Because again, the Mother of Generosity here gives praise. One who is the keeper of gratitude, and how we release a lot of things in the great giveaway, because that's what we know keeps the current in currency, that keeps it coming back to us. And so you could do that. I think it's been brought down from like 90 to 45, or maybe just 15, or a love offering or a donation that you can cash up later. Again, money will never keep you out the door. So 6:30 evening of Monday coming, then we have a Truth Tellers deep dive for those of us looking at the different spreads and how we use it and why it's set up on a medicine wheel, the soul and that part. And then at 7 p.m., the temple door is open for Season of the Raven or Courage Under the Fire. And where that exploration is fascinating to me. It says, it asks us, how are we involved directly in our own soul salvation? Wow. Wow. Okay. And so, yeah, if you were drowning and needed a life raft, you know how to look for one, or yell for one, or scream for one. But tons of us are drowning, mentally and emotionally exhausted, and don't know how to find that life raft. So I think it's going to be a rather good 90 minutes, is usually, as long as we're there. And then that next weekend, we are excited to be going down. Actually, we don't mind packing the car because we've had a little time off of the travel and the road. So, and husband's now recovering from the surgery and doing much better, much better, much better. Thank you for all of your prayers. So we're headed down to Brunswick, to the hostel in the forest, and Forest Fusion with our dear brother Jay Ortiz. Look on his Facebook page or mine, you'll see it. Very affordable. I've been there before. It is a fabulously magical place to find ourselves on the winter solstice. And again, we are going to recreate this 50% discount for all of you who sign up to meet us there. And not only that, you could get your divination while you're there. So that's exciting. You'll see more about it online. Well, see, when I come on, I'm on for a minute and I get some things said, and then that way, happy full moon is coming up in Gemini, winter solstice is coming up. I think it'll tend to be in that last week of the year that we'll come on and do another live just to see what's the truth at the end of the year. Truth be told, what's the truth going into that next year? Truth be told. All right. May the truth be with you, like Jedi's would tell you, may the force be with you. I'm going to say, may the truth be with you, because that's what time it is, my beloveds. Peace and love.